we're going to work into our hamstrings today with a big hamstring practice. And the invitation for this class is to practice neutrality. So neutrality towards our aversions, the things that aren't necessarily our preference. So the things that can be challenging. Neutrality sometimes gets a bad rap where it's like, it almost seems like a bypass or like a toxic positivity or something like that. But neutrality is really opens us up to actually feel the full capacity of the moment. So through the lens of neutrality, we learn how to speak a bit of a different language. So we tune into body sensation and awareness expands and all of these things. And so this is actually a huge thing that we do on the mat, whether we realize it or not, is we are teaching and conditioning the mind to practice neutrality towards the things that are uncomfortable. And I think that hamstring work is a big part of that, because we all have this challenging relationship with this part of the body. Okay. We're going to start on our back. Make sure your strap is within reach, but we won't use it at first. So come on down and find any supine position that feels good in your body. So if that's corpse pose, that's great. Okay, you can also take your feet together, drop the knees open wide. And just take a moment to transition into your practice, to fully arrive here. Right? You decided to commit this hour of time and presence and energy to your practice. So how can you show up a little bit more fully? You notice any emotions and any thoughts that you might have woke up with, any circumstances, just acknowledging any charge, and then consciously setting that just to the side. Notice what it feels like to be in your body right here. Move your breath so that your inhales are inflating your belly instead of your chest. Okay, so that is relaxed breath when we're in a supine position. As the breath flows effortlessly in and out of the belly, the chest remains more or less level. And so as we move through this practice today, we'll have this opportunity to notice all of the things that aren't our preference, things that are less pleasant. And we'll surround those experiences with just a lot of intention and see if we can practice neutrality, recognizing it's just a sensation. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. And find a full breath out through the mouth, just letting everything go. Really nice. Another time, breathing into the belly. You can let that breath fill up the chest now as well. Open mouth, release, let it go. One more cleansing breath, filling up, feeling expansion, abdominal, thoracic cavities, and then open mouth, exhale, let it all go. It's really nice. Seal your lips and move your breath in and out of your nose. Okay, wherever you've landed in your supine shape, bend your knees. Take your feet flat. Reach for your strap. So you'll open up this strap. Loop it around your foot. So just some classic strap work. Let's start with the right foot. Once you hook your right foot, you can either straighten your left leg on the floor or you can keep it bent. I'll leave it up to you. Whatever feels most comfortable. Your grip on your strap, also up to you. So you could reach up towards your foot. Your triceps can be down on the earth, so your hands are lower on the strap. It's whatever feels comfortable. And then find about 70% of your maximum stretch. So we're not going all out here. We're going to get plenty of hamstring length. Just think about waking up the length in this part of your body. In your hamstring stretch, think about sliding your right hip crease to the front mirrors just a little tiny bit. Drive up through your right heel, lightly flex your toes back towards your body and just observe those changes. Taking another breath in and out. Both sides of the strap come together into your left hand. I like to take my right thumb into my right hip crease here and just kind of push forward. You can try that if you want. Flex your foot harder and then gently coast your right foot over to the left wall. So there's an IT band stretch here, outer right leg firing up, but you might have to play with it a little bit to get the sensation. So you might have to flex your foot harder, maybe pull it closer to your face. And take a deep breath here. Stay and breathe everything out. You're coming back through center. Switch hands on the strap so it comes into your right hand. I like to take my left hand now and push down a little bit on my left hip bone. I even like to bend my left knee open to the side. As you drop your right foot to the right wall, you'll notice this just helps to level out the pelvis a little bit. So it's up to you how far you go, right? How far the leg drops, just whatever feels good for the inner thigh. It's okay if the knee remains slightly bent. You're just here for a few breaths. Okay, so feeling out the inner leg. And coming back through center. Take your left foot up into the strap. Right foot can come down into whatever shape was grounding for you on the first side, and then set up your hamstring stretch. Okay, so we got a little bit of a longer hold for this part. You're setting up your hamstring stretch. Once again, left hip crease can dial slightly forward. Flex up through your left heel. Your toes come back. Right? And you're finding about 70% of that maximum stretch. So we're not going for all out here. That will freak out the nervous system and make the body tighten. So as we move to the second side, again, we're being extra aware of the sensations that are challenging, that may be less pleasant. And so if this part of the body is really strong, right, these stretches might be challenging. Maybe moving slowly like this presents a bit of a mental challenge, right? And so creating space around it, neutrality, is more of a mind matter. About 3 more breaths. And you'll take both sides of the strap into your right hand. Personally, I like left thumb, left hip crease, pushing it forward, and then flex your foot harder. Let your foot fall slightly towards the right side of the room, and you're feeling out that depth for yourself. Working to get into the IT band, that's the outer left leg. Usually feels pretty fiery and hot. So this is, for me at least, a super uncomfortable sensation. And so we're creating space around that. and even taking the labels off. So for me, right, instead of it being uncomfortable, I'm just like feeling the sensation. What is that like? Getting into the nuance of feeling the body. And coming back through center. Switch your strap into your left hand. Once again, I like to take right hand to right hip and even open the knee, the right knee wide. Drop your left leg over to the left wall. Play with your variation, your version of the stretch. And that's not a long hold here, so just getting right into it, paying full attention. So easy to check out during these slow holds, I know, but try to stay present to your breathing. Last breath. And coming back to center. Nice job. Set your strap aside. We won't use it till later. Knees to chest. Give yourself a tight squeeze. Use that compression to then rock up to a seat. Cross over your ankles and meet me in a tabletop shape. All fours. So as you arrive in tabletop, hands under shoulders. Spread your fingers out nice and wide. Knees slightly wide underneath your hips. On your next inhale, cow pose, drop your belly, lift your sitting bones and your chin. So you're opening the front line of your body. Good. And then exhale into cat. Push the floor away. Round through your spine. Really nice, Brendan. And breathe into the back line of your body. Inhale as a cow pose. Front line expands and lengthens. Even the throat opens. Exhale into cat. Using the breath to help you round. Couple more cycles, and just think about this as syncing the body with the breath. Okay, waking up the spine. And freeing up some stagnant energy in the body, noticing where it's sitting. That's it. On your next inhale, you'll meet me in a neutral tabletop, but no rush at all. Okay, from your neutral tabletop, walk your hands about 6 inches forward, tuck your toes, and we'll find our first downward facing dog. And it's early in the morning, but also you have some length in your legs already. Notice if you can feel that present here in your pose. Yeah, these are looking really, really nice. Okay, and because it's early, we'll be tender on the low back. Bend your knees a little bit more than you're used to. Some of you might play with widening your feet more. I'm wondering if that's going to help you feel more spacious in the pelvis, but try it out. And then notice how you're pressing into your hands. We want to be pushing into the base knuckle of every finger, as well as more emphasis on the L's of your hands. Awesome, Carrie. Take a deep breath in. Full open mouth. Exhale, that's it. Another time. Breathing in through your nose, up through your spine. Exhale down the back of your legs. Same sound. Seal your lips. Breathe in through your nose. Through your nose, exhale. Let everything go. Good. And then settling into that breath in and out of the nose, finding a rhythm, a consistency. And setting that tempo here so that when things change, you can come back to it. You can ground into it. Good. On your next inhale, lift your right leg high. Pause for a moment. So we're going to talk a lot about square hips today. Good adjustments already. So it's that outer right hip that squares down to the floor. Actually, you're going to find a little lift here. And then drive back through the sole of the foot. Take a breath in. As you exhale, low lunge, set your foot between your hands and take a couple of moments to get into this. As you know, I love blocks here, so you can grab them. You can find some gentle movement, but letting the weight of your pelvis pull you deeper into stretch. And from your lunge shape, back knee down to the floor. Inhale, crescent moon, arms up. Okay, what I want us to feel today in crescent moon is a lot of squeeze in the inner thighs. So notice how when you squeeze on the inner thighs, it automatically pulls your right hip crease back. See if you can feel that. So release forward, squeeze your inner thighs, right hip crease back, right? So there's like a squaring effect. I want you to squeeze the inner thighs and hold. So we should almost feel a slight fatiguing in the inner thighs. That happens pretty quickly. Keep the squeeze of your inner thighs and build your spine up. So lengthen, reach through your fingertips. You've got 2 more breaths here. Engaging the inner thighs on purpose for 1 more inhale. As you exhale, hands to heart, straighten your right leg. Okay, lift your toes if you can, and then hinge forward. So what happens for me is I start to hinge forward, and it's like right away into the hamstring, right? So instead of rounding forward and then turning this into a low back stretch, what I like to do is hands to blocks, and I keep that spinal length. Just an option, okay? There's lots of right ways to do this. Flex your toes up to the ceiling. Double check that you're still engaging inner thighs. Right hip crease is pulling back. Nice, Charlotte. 3 breaths. Yeah, you got 1 more inhale. As you exhale, low lunge. Set your blocks aside for this one. This is different. Down dog kick on an inhale, right leg goes high, square off your hips. And now walk your hands to the back of your mat, standing splits. Your right leg stays lifted for 1 breath in. Exhale, forward fold, 2 feet to touch at the back of your mat, or hip width distance is also fine. Take a halfway lift on your next inhale, squeeze your shoulders. Good. Exhale, forward fold, let everything melts. Head, neck, and jaw super heavy. Come up to standing mountain pose, big lift up, drive through your feet, stretch through your fingers. Good, settle in for a moment. Micro bend your knees. Squeeze your thighs around bone. Take a deep breath in, relax your shoulders, relax your face. Exhale, back bend, elbows widen, heart lifts, and feel your shoulder blades wrap behind the backside of your lungs. Nice work. Inhale, come back up to mountain pose, arms stretch. Take your time with this. Exhale, forward fold. So you're lengthening out of your pelvis as you come down. Nice work. Halfway lift at the bottom, hands to shins or thighs. Walk forward, high plank. Hold high plank for a sec. If you'd like to tap your knees down, you're welcome to do that. Okay, come back into that inner thigh power. So you're squeezing inner thighs together toward each other. Baby bend the elbows, chin off the chest. Take an inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. And if for any reason you're not on the belly today, you can come to tabletop. Spinal extension is great. Setting up for cobra, feet wide. Toenails dig in. This is kind of, in my opinion, the hardest part. So feel it out for a second. Dig your toes in. Notice how your kneecaps lift. Squeeze your seat. Keep your legs this engaged, right? Elbows wrap back, hands slide back slightly. As you feel ready, lift your heart up off of the floor. If you think about this pose as strengthening your posture muscles, does that change your effort? The more we strengthen the posture muscles, the easier it is to stand up straight without trying. Okay, 1 more inhale, you lift. Exhale, release, mouth to the floor. Nice work. Tuck your toes underneath you. Inhale, push up either to table or a high plank. Then back into downward facing dog. We've got a couple breaths, just settle in. So neutral. It's not a matter of labeling the way that you're feeling. It's just feeling. It's stepping into the field of awareness and noticing all the sensations and the movement of energy that flows through it. Okay, on your next inhale, left leg rises. Pause to square the hips. So outer left hip down just slightly. Push through your hands, stretch back longer through that extended leg. There you go. Exhale, low lunge, step your foot forward. Take your time, take a few breaths. And then back knee comes down to the floor. Inhale, crescent moon. We'll do the same exercise here. So back up a little bit, squeeze the inner thighs, and then sink forward. Okay, squeeze the inner thighs, feel your left hip crease wrap back, and hold. Squeezing the inner thighs, even if it means you're not quite as far forward. From the strong engagement around your pelvis, feel your rib cage lift up. Good. Take one more deep inhale. Hands come to heart. Exhale. Strengthen your left leg, okay, or straighten rather. Left toes flex up. You have to kind of keep squeezing the inner thighs for balance, right? That's intentional. And then you hinge forward. That will show you your hamstring range pretty quickly. Okay? And then you have options. Do you round forward? Do you take your hands to your blocks? Up to you. Keep squeezing the inner thighs just slightly to drag your left hip crease back. 3 breaths. Inhale. And exhale, low lunge, crawl it forward. You can set your blocks aside. As you inhale, down dog kick, left leg up and back. Strong kick through that foot. Now walk your hands back to the back of your mat, standing splits. Take one inhale here, square the hips off. There it is. Exhale, forward fold. Take a halfway extension, spine long, shoulders out of the ears. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Loving the breath this morning. Keep it going. Mountain pose, stand all the way up. Soft bend in your knees. Exhale, back bend, elbows wide, lift through the center of your heart. Beautiful, Laura. Come back to standing mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. That's it. Once you get to the bottom halfway, lift, inhale, lengthen. Feel cobra pose in your spine. That's it. Walk forward, high plank. On your exhale, you'll lower all the way down to your belly. No rush, and you'll set up cobra on your own. So taking your time, I recommend starting with your feet, working up through your crown. Have your own experience with building this spine strengthening posture. We'll hold it for about 3 breaths. Cassidy, really nice. Yeah, sides of the neck, long. Elbows wrapped together. Last inhale. And release. Mouth to the floor. Tuck your toes. Press up into a table or a plank. Downward facing dog, 3 rounds of breath. On your next inhale, gaze forward. Top of your mat. However you'd like to get there. Good. Halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. This time we're coming up into chair pose. Sit down into your heels, bend your knees forward. Slide into depth here. Alignment's looking so great today. Can you create a little more space in your shoulders? Yeah, Megan. For another breath. Exhale, airplane arms. Sweep your fingertips back. Feel the sides of your neck move away from your fingertips. So you're stretching upper body apart. Inhale back to chair pose. Keep the depth in your seat. Exhale, forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Go ahead and step left foot back into a lunge. Okay, full crescent lunge. Use your legs to lift you all the way up, and we'll set it up here at the top. So It's very similar to the alignment we talked about when you were in crescent moon. The inner thighs are very active, and this helps you draw your right hip crease back. So I just want you to feel those two things working together. Some of you practice moving your shoulders back so they're right on top of your waistline, and then draw your rib cage a little tighter together. Exactly. Good, David. Strong alignment there. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Drop your back heel down. Open up your stance. Make sure it feels long. Take a couple moments to settle in. So as you bend your right knee forward and slightly open, there's a heat that you feel in the top of the thigh. Some of these postures that we're in hundreds and hundreds of times, it's easy to create some aversion in that experience. So if that's present for you, we're creating space around it, just working into neutrality. So we all have our preferences, right? But we're choosing to sit in a different seat here for another breath or two. Now, on your next inhale, straighten your right leg. We're going to take our time getting into triangle pose. So first of all, look down at your feet. Okay, we want the front heel intersecting either the back heel or the back arch. Okay, so you're in one plane here with the feet. Now hands to your hips. Okay, sass your back hip as much as you can to the back of the room. Okay, now take your left hip and turn it just a little bit forward. Awesome. Reach your right fingertips far, far forward. And then when you can't reach any farther, you simply take that hand down to support, left arm up to the ceiling. So you can rest your bottom arm on your shin, a block, the floor. Okay, but what I want you to feel is that we've already opened the leg in a way that supports this posture. So maybe you can feel a lot of space wrapping from your hamstring to your inner thigh. Let's come back deeper into the breath and use your breath to help lengthen and stretch side bodies forward. The more length that you create in your spine, notice the left shoulder wants to drop back a little bit. Exactly, Carrie. 2 breaths. Exhale everything out. Reverse triangle, maintain the legs, squeeze your inner thighs together, stretch to the back of the room just for one inhale here together. Good, exhale, low lunge, hands to the floor. Lift your back heel before you come down. Awesome work. So from here, left hand becomes our foundation. Right arm high for side plank. And if you want to modify it today, that looks like left knee down on the floor, shin bone back. There's other ways to modify, but just landing in a side plank that feels good for you. I want you to imagine, bless you, that you're trying to pick up your left hand off the floor. Your side bodies will engage that way. Olivia, super strong. Take a breath in together. Good stuff. Exhale, high plank. From your high plank, lower all the way down to your belly. Okay, so high plank to your belly. I want you to take your right knee and hike it up towards your right shoulder. So it's a half prone frog. And then you'll take your left hand under your head. So you're just kind of hanging out here. Right arm reaches back. Bend your straight leg and take your hands to your foot or toward your foot. Yep, so it's going to feel like your right leg, but it's actually your left foot that you're holding on to. Quad stretch, and this actually gives us access to the hip flexors, even the psoas. And if you want more, just think about subtly lifting your left knee. And you don't actually lift it, but you just think about it. And 3 more breaths. Release. Everything comes down to the floor, chin to the mat, mouth to the mat, hands under your shoulders, press up, high plank or table, downward facing dog. Next inhale, gaze lifts. Arrive at the top of your mat, your time, feet to hands. Halfway lift, inhale, posture muscles engage. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Come back into your chair pose. Take an inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, airplane torso, fingertips to the back wall. Nice breath back here. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold, bring it down. Halfway lift. Okay, pause in your halfway lift. Watch out for locked knees. Watch out for rounding in the low back. Good. Step your right foot back, low lunge. Lainey, nice job. So from your lunge, make sure it's long enough. And then as you're ready, full crescent lunge, lift your torso. And we're taking the alignment we talked about in crescent moon and applying it here. So even if it means less depth, come back, squeeze the inner thighs together, and notice how that helps you wrap your left hip crease back. And then from there, you've got this super strong foundation to lift up more. Yeah. Take an inhale together. Settle into your alignment. Okay, warrior two, back heel down, open up your body. And breathe. When a sensation shows up that you're not fond of, there's usually a scripted response. We either move to alleviate the discomfort, or sometimes we kind of launch into this mental discourse. What does it look like to just surround it with feeling and awareness and take the labels off? If you didn't love it and you didn't hate it, right, what would it feel like? On your next inhale, straighten your front leg. Take your hands to your hips. Look down at your feet. Is that the alignment you want for your triangle pose? Nice, yeah, so just feeling it out. Check your left toes also, that they're pointed straight forward. You might even take your back toes, guys, and point them in a little bit towards the top right corner of your mat. Good. Now start to find that sassing of your hips, right hip back, as far as it'll go. If you liked it on the first side, you can also take your right hip and dial it forward like 15 degrees. Yep. Now start to stretch your left arm towards the front of the room. You're getting as long as possible. These are looking absolutely incredible. Stretch long. And then when you can't reach anymore, dial the arms into your triangle pose, left hand down, right arm to the ceiling. This is a really beautiful posture to breathe bigger into because it will change the alignment. Watch the locking of the left knee. And then as your side bodies get longer, eventually that right shoulder drapes back and it almost feels back bendy. Yes, Holly. Final breath in. Stay and breathe out. Nice work. Reverse triangle. Push into the floor as you switch the arms. Stretch up and back. Nice job. Next exhale, low lunge. Lift your back heel first and then square your body to the ground. Nice work. Okay. Side plank. Right hand foundation. Open everything up to the left. Remember, you can modify. Wherever you've landed, we're pretending that we're lifting. Right palm up off the floor. Exactly. Just activates the side bodies a little bit more. Take another breath. Exhale, high plank. Down to your belly. All right, you can come onto your forearms to set this up. I find it helpful. Left knee forward, half prone frog. All right, hand into right palm. Left arm stretches back. Bend your right leg. It'll feel like the left. hand to foot, quad stretch. If you want more, you're thinking about pointing your right knee to the back wall. Just breathe. Last breath in. As you exhale, releasing. Come back to your belly, hands under shoulders, legs straight, and then push up either to tabletop or high plank, whatever feels better for you. 3 to 5 breaths in downward facing dog. Can you feel the length in your body that you're creating? The length in the legs, in the spine, the side body. Okay, on your next inhale, right leg lifts up. Exhale, low lunge, step your foot forward. Grab your blocks. From your low lunge, inhale, crescent moon, back knee down to the floor, arms sweep up. And pause. So practicing that same alignment here, inner thigh squeeze, right hip crease draws back. Good. I gotta get my timer, so hang tight for a second. Actually, so here's the thing, guys. In this posture, I just want you to feel before we move forward the upright position of your torso, okay, over your hips. Now take a deep breath in. This will come in play later. Exhale, half splits. And pause. All right, you might have saw this coming, but we're moving into full splits, okay? This is technically splits as far as I'm concerned. So you're welcome to stay exactly here, okay? If you're gonna play with a little bit of a deeper version of splits, start by sliding your front heel about 3 inches forward. And then you can tuck your back toes, slide your left knee back and pause for a second. So here's what I always see in splits is we lose the squaring, okay? We lose the squaring and we watch my hips open to the side because it helps us get deeper to the floor, okay? In true splits, your hips are square forward, okay? There's a ton of squeeze in your inner thighs. So keep that. And if you'd like to come even deeper by front heel forward, back knee back, you can do that. So for me and where I'm at in my splits journey, I love a block right underneath my butt here at any height. Okay, so you're welcome to try that. But I want you to find a version of your splits that you can hold. And as you come into your splits, okay, if you're sitting upright, this will apply to you. Shoulders over hips. In splits, we want to work for a tall, upright spine. Good, David. Exactly like that. Okay, on the clock. This is my absolute favorite posture for practicing discomfort, for obvious reasons. Turn inward. Get into the breath. And modify and pull back if you need to. And then if it's uncomfortable, what does it mean to take those sensations off and just let sensation be sensation? So it's just feeling of a certain quality. You're doing great. So we're still in this for about a half minute longer. If the mind is panicked or dreading that, assess. And we're taking a deep breath in together. And a full more breath out. Okay, listen here. Use your blocks to help you. We're going back into a low lunge. Okay, low lunge. You can walk it forward. It doesn't have to look pretty, just getting there, however. Left hand foundation. Back into side plank. And then we're going to play with one more variation. So from your side plank, modified or not, I want you to practice lifting your top leg. Okay, and you can do this with your bottom knee down or up. You're here for 3 strong breaths. Get as big and open as you can. Strong breathing for 2. Brendan, phenomenal. You're here for 1 more big breath in. Stay with it. Exhale, slowly come down. High plank into downward facing dog. Pausing. Set up. Next inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, low lunge. Take a moment, set it up, get your foot forward. Back knee to the ground, crescent moon. That's it. This posture imitates splits. Right? If the left leg were straight, we'd be in splits. So we can almost say this is a modified version of splits, which is why it's so important to feel that your inner thighs are squeezing, your hips are squaring forward, and your torso is upright. Splits will eventually feel this way. Half splits as you're ready. Lengthen your left leg. And pause. All right. If your first side was miserable, I would encourage you to take a different approach, okay? If you'd like to go deeper, left heel forward, right knee slides back, and just pause for a sec. Let's work on those square hips. Left hip crease slightly back. Listen, your hips aren't going to be perfectly square. We just want to feel a slight pull of the left hip crease back and a squeeze of the inner thighs. If you want to go deeper, go for it. So one side can be super different, super different if you're me. So just feeling out, okay, what this side needs to look like. And arriving in a shape that you can breathe into, feel into. These look awesome. So neutrality is very different from indifference. So instead of checking out, neutrality is the willingness to really feel into all the qualities of the moment. When we slap a label on it, our awareness narrows. We spotlight the things we like or don't like, tend to forget about the rest. About a half minute left. Together, breathing in and out. All right, last push here. Slowly, slowly. Walk it forward into your lunge. Okay, right hand foundation, inhale, side plank. You can modify it or not, but you're opening into your side plank and then an option to lift your top leg, get as big as you can for 3 breaths. That's it. Driving through your grounded palm for 2 breaths. It's great, Heidi. One more inhale. And exhale. High plank. Tap your knees down. Take a child's pose. In your child's pose, taking your time to just feel out sensations and changes and how your practice has unfolded. Coming forward into a tabletop. Find a seat. Legs out in front of you. Grab your block and come onto your back. Once you get onto your back, take your block at the lowest height and set it underneath your sacrum. Knees to belly. Lift your legs straight up to the ceiling. So supported legs up the wall. We're going to be here for a bit of time. You can take your hands to your body. You can stretch your arms to the floor. It's whatever feels most comfortable. We've done a lot in the lower half of the body. So just imagining all that energy, all that effort dripping down from the toes, pooling in the pelvis. Where it's circulating, replenishing, restoring. About 1 more minute here. Take a deep breath. Exhaling, knees fold back into your belly. And take your feet down to the mat. Lift your hips, remove your block. Come into a little fallen bridge, knees together, feet wide. And separating your knees, pull them in towards your chest once again for a final supine twist. Once your knees are towards your belly, keep your right knee in, send your left leg straight forward, and pause for a moment. Find compression, right knee to right armpit. Find a tight squeeze. Compress into your hip crease. Shoulders flatten if you can. And take a big breath. And exhale, twist right knee to the left wall. You're feeling into the subtle rotation of your spine, but also the nice long line of space on your left side. And take an inhale here. And stay to breathe out. And come back to center. Switch legs. Left knee in. Staying for compression. Knee to armpit. Use your arms to pull a bit tighter. And take a full inhale here. Exhale, twist. And taking a big full breath. Staying to exhale. Back to center. Pulling both knees in for a final squeeze. And on your time, when you feel ready, moving into your final resting pose, corpse, legs forward and open. We've got time to be here, so please set it up in a way that feels very, very comfortable. A position where you can find stillness and quiet. Continuing this practice of open to sensation in the field of neutrality. I'll guide you out when it's time. Take a moment in your stillness to just be aware of your entire field of awareness and the sensations passing through, things that you notice, whether it's inside of your body or around. And noticing how awareness itself is neutral. You are welcome to stay in your resting shape for as long as you want this morning. The space is all yours. And if you feel ready to reawaken, you can start to find some gentle movements, hands and feet. And bring the breath in more actively. Maybe a full body stretch. You can bend your knees in, roll to one side if that's something you like to transition through. Fetal position. And gradually pressing up to a seat. So any comfortable seat facing the front of your space. And as you set up your seat, just intentionally grounding through your sitting bones. Find length in your spine, keep the shoulders soft. Hands together in front of your heart. Let's find a deep breath in together.